Please stand and join the Pledge of Allegiance. Please call the roll.
Counselor Olson is excused this evening. Counselor Fennessy. Counselor Bender. Counselor Sweeney. Counselor McDonald. Counselor Mazzolia. Counselor Finsland. Counselor Herrick. Counselor McKenzie. Counselor Dahlbeck. Counselor Nowicki. And Counselor Kadat.
Thank you. Recognize the quorum will proceed. Before we go into the next order of business, I'd like to offer sincere and unified appreciation to Dan Zakowski, Assistant Finance Director for the City of Superior. Dan retired quite recently, and he wants to go out and work in the woods or something like that, I'm not sure. So I'd like to take the opportunity to thank Dan for his dedication and service to the City of Superior over the last years. Dan, as you know, was Assistant Finance Director, and he committed long hours, expertise, and dedication to assisting the entire city, the administration, the council, and doing what we do in the finance department and keeping us on the right track financially and forward. So, Dan, I would like to offer this plaque of appreciation presented to you, Daniel E. Zakowski, Assistant Finance Director, January 16, 2001, December 9, 2013. In appreciation for your 12-plus years of hard work and dedication to the City of Superior and its citizens, you have been an invaluable member of the City Finance team since January of 2001, when you accepted a position as Assistant, later having been promoted to Assistant Finance Director in December of 2002. You are to be commended on your executive knowledge and extensive knowledge of the city's audit requirements and related duties, community development block grant program, citywide insurance needs, utility billing, and office management functions of the City Finance Department. During your 12-plus years with the Finance Department, you worked tirelessly to assist the Finance Director with all aspects of managing city finances. While your work roots have been firmly planted in the city's bricks and mortar, your private side has taken you to the woods, ponds, and streams for your passion of trapping. Your city friends and colleagues will miss your hard work and dedication on behalf of the city, but will really miss your kind nature and many talented, detailed stories of your life in the farm and your wife Marie. You are a warm and caring person who kindly dealt with coworkers and the public, and your rich background made you an invaluable resource and advisor to the city mayors and the city council for over the years. Thank you, Dan, for your professional and personal dedication, and we wish you the very best in your future. Within this proclamation and dedication here, Dan, it's mentioned that his love is in the woods and trapping and ponds and fishing, and I told Dan just the other day that someday when we both get together, I want to recapture a conversation we had, I think it was a year ago or two now. He came to my office about something, and we got talking about trapping, and I sat there enthralled for probably 45 minutes, and I now want to buy a book on beavers and their habitats, because the little thing I learned that I was fascinated with and I continue to tell other people about is no matter where you go in the world, there's only 3 types of beaver dams, whether it's in Russia, Douglas County, or Portland, Oregon. And so the description and the knowledge he has about that side of his life and passion is absolutely fascinating, and it needs to be captured. Other than that, he's a great guy, and he's done a great job for the city, and I want to applaud you, Dan. Thank you so much.
It's been an honor and a privilege to have served the city. I'm really going to miss you.
Say, Mayor, could I just say a couple words about Dan? I've known Dan for the past few years, and just to echo what you said, if ever you have a question, doesn't necessarily need to relate to the city or the city council. I know somebody called me who doesn't live in the 3rd District, wanted to know about energy assistance. And I thought, who can I call about this? I called Dan. He knew right away. He knew where to send me, and I passed on that information to that person. And that's only the tip of the iceberg as far as the knowledge of Dan and how much he's going to be missed. And enjoy the vino, my friend.
Counselor?
Dan, I just wanted to tell you, I know you tried to tell us that all the good times you had here, and how much you're going to miss us. I'm going to miss you. You're a gentleman. All the things that you've done, all the things that you would do, I would call you up. You would spend as much time as you needed to speak with me and make sure that I understood. And all the stories that the mayor was talking about, times where we had to talk about the things that you enjoyed and outside and outdoors and all that. I hope you enjoy that. And the thing that I think that you and I both shared together was the love of animals and the animals that you adopted since I've known you. And thank you so much for that. We'll see you again, my friend, for sure.
Counselor Herrick?
Yeah, I just want to thank Dan for all his hard work. Just want to echo these other two gentlemen that whenever you had a problem, he was there to answer the questions for you. And if he didn't have the answer right at that time, he would definitely call you back right away. He is definitely going to be missed here. He's a valuable asset to the city. So thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Dan, very much. Director Vito?
Thanks, Mayor. Dan, I can't see you between this pole here is in the middle, but I just wanted to give Dan a sincere thanks. We've worked together for just under 13 years, and I'll tell you, he really spoiled me, and he made my job easier. When I think of traits that Dan has, things like trustworthy, honest, reliable, hardworking, all of those things are characteristics that Dan has, and our working relationship is changing, but our friendship won't, and I just want to thank Dan for all of his hard work and helping us get things done. Thank you, Dan.
Item number 4 is approval of the minutes from the December 3rd regular council meeting.
For the motion and second for approval, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Item 6 is a consent agenda.
Please pull 6.5, please.
There's a motion to pull 6.5. Is there a second? 6.5 is pulled. The rest of the consent agenda, there's a motion for approval. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. 6.5.
Item 6.5 is the Human Resources Committee of December 9th. Item number 2 is to approve the 2014 salary and benefit policy for non-union employees, along with the revised ordinances, policies, and job descriptions, items A through M.
Counselor? I'm sorry.
I made a motion to approve so we can discuss it.
Oh, okay. Motion and second. Discussion?
I believe there's some people from both 235 and 244 that would like to say a few words at this time, so I'll ask them to speak first if that pleases the group.
If I may, I'd like to say a couple things first, that within the handbook, as noted, we have a understanding with the current unions for a continuation of labor management committees as cited in the human resources policies and procedures for such. I want to go on record with regard to the fact that while it is silent in the handbook, it is my recommendation, and I believe yours, as well as representatives from 235 and 244 to continue the practice of having labor management relations under another term, leave that terminology and specific charge to the committees that heretofore will be changed as of the January 1st. And the purpose of it is, in my opinion, communication is all or nothing. And the purpose of communication is to make sure that people have a vehicle to communicate, but also that participation within the quality operations, efficiencies, concerns that may be raised, as well as the level of what do we do next, if you will, for people to have a clear line of communication. And I will recommend that that be part of the handbook with the actual vehicle being designed by the committee. As Councilor Bender suggested.
Well, thanks for letting us have our time to speak here. I'm Lee Sandock Baker, president of Local 235, and I have Paul Kinley, vice president, and Paul Gerdine, president of AFSCME Local 244, here behind me. And getting to the point to where the handbook is presented to pass tonight, We've had conversations with the mayor and with Cammie to get to where we are with the certain things that were not originally in the handbook, such as the grievance procedure that is added. That's something that we suggested that will, in our opinion, benefit not only the Local 235 and 244 members, the ones that, or should I say, all of the appendixes of employees are going to benefit from the grievance procedure that we asked to be put in there, which is going to be included. Everybody is going to benefit from the stronger just cause language that's going into the HR policy, as well as this labor management or labor relations type language. It keeps open those lines of communication, and so we do want to continue communicating in whatever fashion, as we move forward. The one thing that I do want to mention that has come up in conversation time and time again, and I would not be doing my job if I didn't bring it up in front of the council, is the lack of seniority language in the handbook. We are very happy with the things that are in the handbook, with the benefits that do remain for us, the things that we talked about that are going to be included that were not originally included, but the seniority language is something that continues to come up with our members, and they are concerned. So with that, if Paul have anything to say, I've said my piece, so thank you.
Councilor Bender.
Yes, I'd just like to thank them for being here and also for speaking. And first of all, I always start with positive things, and I think that the Labor Management Committee to continue is a very good idea, as is the grievance procedure and the just cause has been mentioned. But as a longtime union member, I too agree, am very concerned about the seniority, call it longevity, call it length of service. I'm very concerned that it's not in there. And I will, that's all I care to say at this time about it.
Councilor McKenzie.
Yeah, I guess I'm a little puzzled by some of the things that Lee has said there, because I've gotten a lot of feedback, and there's been a lot of grumblings. There's been a lot of things that have been suggested about the handbook that are are pretty gray areas, some things that are not very fair. I haven't heard all of the details on some of that, but I think the biggest thing that sits with me, and that's been mentioned tonight twice, is the issue with seniority, that it's not being spelled out whether it's there or not. But I think the intent is to eventually have no seniority. And for me, being a union person, having that I guess experience and knowing that when you hire out somewhere, seniority, I think, is the one thing that you can hang on to. You might not be sitting there with maybe big benefits or something like that. Maybe not a big pay scale or raises, but seniority, I think, is the one thing, saving grace, I think, for everybody. And so for me, that's the one thing that says that this is not going to work, and I couldn't sit here and vote for it the way it sits. So I can't support it.
Councilor Dahlbeck.
I would just like to say, as a counselor, I think, or as counselors, we would have input on what is being done with seniority. If someone should happen to be discriminated against, or something should come up where they're going to put somebody in their place to say they're not qualified, I think we as counselors would stand by them and not let that happen. So this is where I sit right now.
Councilor Herrick.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I know how important that is to you, but like I mentioned in our committee meeting that, you have the right to grieve. I mean, and I'm hoping management is professional enough to see that seniority is important and that, to look at that also.
Any further discussion? If I may, I want to thank 235, 244 for the months that we've been involved in this discussion and the meetings that we've had, professional on both sides, and what you have before you isn't a perfect document at all. It's not perfect in the eyes of management. It's not perfect perhaps in the eyes of the represented. Management and supervisors in particular have given up a whole lot. Well, what the document really is, in comparison to many other communities, most communities, maybe all communities, in the state of Wisconsin that has been faced with Act 10, is greatly, greatly better than any other community that I can cite. And I challenge that to be not true. The seniority issue was one of the issues that the supervisors wanted not to have in there for obvious reasons of in cases where because you're senior and you're a greater operator, but you may not be as good as somebody else on this or that particular piece of equipment. There is no seniority in a non-represented organization at all. And as of January 1, the handbook is the authority unless they recertify at the end of January, and then we're probably back to talking about everything. But I have to emphasize that in working with the unions, they've been extremely helpful, cooperative. Great ideas have been brought forth that we accepted. Many of them are in this handbook that we have accepted so that we don't upset the apple cart any further than it's been upset by Act 10, and that it's a living, working document that we move forward. And I want to emphasize the word living document, the phrase, because it is a living document like any other. If it were a contract, it's up for discussion, it's up for alteration, it's up for negotiation, it's up for anything that pertains to the betterment of services and the betterment of people. And I want to be bold in saying that there's nobody in this room that cares more about our employees than me. And I don't even like to call them employees, it's fellow workers. And what I'll be presenting to you next month will probably also have some consternation by certain members of the council, because what I'm going to be offering is raising everybody's ship to a higher level over a period of 3 years in 2 phases. So I would have to believe that the Lee and Paul would have to agree with me, or perhaps not. I hope they would, that we've all worked very hard on this. There's been some moments where we didn't feel like we were getting anywhere. There have been a lot of moments where we came together, and I want to thank Cammie in particular for her long, dedicated, many hours, nights, and weekends, and working on this with the folks here. And we believe that is a document that is very good in respect to others that we've seen that have been taken away by other cities in Wisconsin, but also the fact that we term it as a living document. So I thank you for that opportunity to speak on that. Councilor Bender?
Yes, I believe one other person would like to speak. Erica Dinklesmith is here, and she's the Ask Me business agent. I think she's being convinced right now that she wants to speak by the two Pauls.
Eric, will you turn the light on? Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to make a legal point of clarification, if I may, that with regards to seniority, it's been suggested to me that seniority is not possible in a non-represented group. However, there are other counties and employers that do recognize seniority. It may not be called seniority, it may be called something else, but within the scope of employee represented groups, seniority is a possibility. So I just would like to make that clarification. Thank you.
Any further discussion? If
Just
not,
Mayor, just ask for a roll call vote, please.
yes, thank you.
The motion, I'm sorry, excuse me, the motion and second is to approve the recommendation. Counselor Fennessy? Aye. Counselor Bender? Aye. Counselor Sweeney? Yes. I'm sorry, would you guys turn on your microphones when you, I was going to remind you and I forgot, otherwise people at home can't hear how the vote goes.
No, you know, there will be feedback if we all have them on at the same
Yeah,
time.
when it comes to your turn. Yes, I could also read back your votes if you'd like, if that's easier. Counselor McDonald?
Yes.
Counselor Mazzolia?
Yes.
Counselor Finsland?
Yes.
Counselor Herrick?
Yes.
Counselor McKenzie?
No.
Counselor Dalbeck?
No.
Motion carried.
Item 7.1, Finance Director Vito is requesting approval of the 2014 wastewater budget.
Put a motion and second to approve. All in discussion. Councilor Sweeney.
I just have one question when I'm looking at the projections up to 2020. How much cash on hand is enough or isn't enough?
Counselor, we have currently around $6 million, and what that does is it allows us to do the capital projects of 2014 without having to issue more debt.
Right, I'm going to 2020.
Oh, 2020.
How much cash on hand is too much or not enough?
Well,
When do we say we've got enough assets on hand to take care of us? Because at projection to 2020, we're going to have, it looks like to me, at least 12 million.
oh, yes, and you bring up a very good point, because I don't think we ever want to have $12 million in cash.
I agree.
So what would happen is, if all of these projections came true, we could probably look at holding the rate steady for a few years. So that would not build up these projections to over 12 million in cash.
Okay, and I understand that, but the word probably is the one that, how do we know, we can't control projections.
Exactly.
But I'm saying,
Exactly.
is there a figure that we have in mind based upon revenues and expenses and major equipment that we buy, capital improvements, that after we do that, we have enough as a percentage?
I wouldn't say necessarily as a percentage, but I can tell you from 20 years of working with this, I can tell you where my comfort level is.
Okay.
If this utility had started approaching $3 million or less, I would not be comfortable with that, because in any given year, if you have an emergency at this plant, and parts of it are very old, or if you have pipes that fail, or something at the main treatment plant, those can be millions of dollars.
But it's not the low end, it's the high end that concerns me.
We haven't had to worry about that
Oh,
yet.
okay. Well, with projections, though, you're projecting 12 million.
Right.
Okay.
And a lot of things happen.
Okay, all right.
So I'd be very happy to be looking at 4 or 5 years down the road and telling the council we can hold these rates the same because the projections have held true.
Okay. Because there's no need to keep accumulating
Exactly.
cash.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
So, to further answer your question, if on the other end, the upper end, I think if we're approaching 6 million, we're very well funded, and I don't see any reason that we need to go beyond that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
If I could add a comment on that, too, is that the cash flow projection, the last 3 years on that projection has a $700,000 capital spending. Doesn't really include any major projects. The capital spending plan that's in the packet only goes through the year 2017. So the number on that cash flow projection may be a little bit inflated.
Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Item 7.2, Finance Director Vito is requesting approval of the 2014 stormwater budget.
Heard a motion and a second to approve. Discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Item 7.3, Human Resources Director Konechny is requesting confirmation of Chris Bronson as the Assistant Finance Director.
Heard a motion and a second, multiple. Discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Mr. Bronson.
I guess, first of all, I'd just like to thank Council, Cammie, Mayor, and Jean for the opportunity. I think I said to a few people before that it's going to be impossible to replace the gray whiskers of Dan, both literally and figuratively, but I will do my best and look forward to working with everyone.
We'll make sure you get the gray whiskers. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Item 7.4, Public Works Director Getzman is recommending to renew the fixed-based operators agreement between the City of Superior and Eugene Amorte.
A motion and multiple seconds. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Item 8.1, Mayor Hagan is reappointing to the Plan Commission Greg Date for another 3-year term.
A motion and second. Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Item 9.1, Councilor President Bender and Vice President McDonald are requesting an update on the animal shelter.
Since this is informational, does this need a motion?
No. I'll begin if you wish. The animal shelter, if you recall, we've had a number of discussions over many years now. Councilor McKenzie can recite every one of them, I'm sure, good or bad, frustrating or not, as well as Director Vito and others, Jeff Getzman, with kind of the people that have been kind of managing this discussion over a number of years. The current situation is a letter that a memo that I sent to you maybe in August, October, I forget when it was, outlining some points that probably should be considered with regard to moving forward. One of which was the requirement that for the 8,600 square foot shelter, the requirement of filling the gap, if you will, for the campaign that would supplement and fulfill the amount necessary minus the commitment that the city has put forth for through bond issue. Since that time, of the 2.2 million, I believe, we've probably down to 2.1, give or take, expenditures with animal arts and other miscellaneous expenditures to this point. We have before you later this evening the information with regard to the contract with Animal Arts to complete the structural and working drawings, if you will, for construction of the 8,600 square foot building. That amount is, give or take, $126,000. In the conversation, I'm just giving you my up-to-date from what I've learned and know and see and hear. The conversations with Animal Allies, I believe I was with John, maybe Rick, I'm not sure, as to how the capital campaign is going. And as you might suspect, it's going slowly because of, I guess, a lot of competing interests that have arisen on the forefront. And, you know, the holiday, Christmas, year-end, whatever, I don't know what the real reason is, but it's going slowly. I believe there might be $70,000 in pledges through and to Animal Allies, and they're somewhere in the range of $200,000 that potentially are available through the Humane Society of Douglas County. So if I think the estimate was $3.1 million to construct the facility that I just described. So give or take, $2 million if after the design, let's say, and $2 million or $200,000. We're probably at what, $900,000, $800,000 gap. Those are rough numbers. I can't run them through my mind right now. So that's pretty much where I know that we are today. I know there's been discussions, quiet discussions with regard to, we call it a quiet campaign, or the quiet part of the campaign, to seek out major, what's the terminology, leadership roles, and but I don't know the status of that right now. Perhaps others do, but from my understanding, that's kind of where we are today. Counselor?
Yeah, I know that there's probably some people out in the audience that want to speak too. But like you said, Mayor, frustration, I think, has been something that's crossed my mind many times, although I think this has been probably one of the most exciting things that I've worked on, but the frustration and disappointment because it hasn't come as fast as I'd like. You know, after 6 years to be sitting here and discussing, you know, what are we going to do, very, very frustrating. We desperately need a new shelter. I've just heard here just recently that there's big problems at the old pound that we call a shelter. It's being run well by Animal Allies, but the building is terrible. There's been no heat in the place for 3 days now. That's unacceptable. And again, we're going back to the old days where, you know, nobody cared about what these animals, the conditions that these animals are in. We've made a lot of promises. I know I've made promises maybe that although I really thought that they were going to come true, but maybe needed to wait. I've got a flyer here, news flyer. This is from Douglas County. Sorry, Mike. From Douglas County. It's the paw print, and it's a picture of all these people standing in front of the sign that's at the Bear Creek Park in Tom's district, and it says, "Coming soon, Douglas County Animal Shelter," and it's a collaboration of all these things: city and Douglas County, ARF, Animal Allies, Douglas County Humane Society. And I think the one thing I think that frustrates me is that I never would have gone forward with this had I not had the support. I've had support from people that aren't here anymore. They're on the council. Back then, I think it was 100% support. I had support from the late and great Bob Brown, Chuck Hendry, Ed Anderson, Len Joyle, and when Esther was here before, she always supported the shelter. And I know that she still does. And I still think that the majority of the council here still supports this thing. And everything, of course, all the planets and the stars have to line up. And of course, the capital campaign is something that we're working on. And I think that's one of the disappointing things for me, is that I've been told that we have a very generous city and people care. And again, the public supports this. Everybody that I've talked to, the public supports this. But we need to support it with money. If we don't, we're going to be going back to a situation like we had before, where we have a pound, like I said before, and 7-day quarantine, and then these animals are either euthanized right there after 7 days or shipped off to be put to sleep. Gotta have this shelter somehow, some way. We have these plans here now. It's a little frustrating to say that, after 3 years or whatever, how long it's been that we, been working on this thing, that we've spent off somewhere around $140,000 to $175,000, and we've got this, we've got a site, we've got this, but probably too expensive to build. We should be able to build this thing for $2 million or less. If we have to go back, if it ever comes to a vote that we're going to vote for or against having this thing, and we have to go back to a pound, 7-day quarantine, whoever votes to go back to that, I hope you can live with that. So that's all I got to say. I don't know what else to say. It's been tough, and I hope someone out there in the audience has something to say.
Mr. Salstead?
Rick Salestead, Executive Director of Animal Allies, and I just want to say, thank you for all your consideration, all that. The mayor is pretty accurate with your numbers. We're not too much in disagreement with those. I think we can say, just to put a little calmness on it, I believe there's 2 furnaces at the shelter. One works, one doesn't, and the one that's not working is being replaced as we speak. But it is a shelter that needs to be replaced, because you don't want to have these kind of emergencies coming up against you. We're honored and pleased to run your shelter, and hopefully we can do it in the future. We look forward to it. Our only mission here is to help take care of your animals, and we'd be happy to do that for you. We want to give you the best service for the best price, and I think since day one we've always said, don't overbuild a shelter and don't underbuild a shelter. So there's a sweet spot in there. On the capital campaign, I would defy you to speak to anybody, the CASDA people or any of the campaigns that have run recently. They're always a challenge. We've only been, we've been doing it for years, but since you graciously accepted the county money, that was back in late August, so since September is when we've been able to move what we felt with as full speed forward in a quiet manner. And we've contacted a number of potential large donors. As I speak to you, I'm waiting for 2 phone calls. We know we have a commitment from one, but we don't know the level of the commitment. And as you know, it would be wonderful to say it's huge and it's wonderful, but I can't say that. We have another major name in this city that has expressed interest, and yes, they're going to help, and I don't know if that's going to be a pat on the back or we're going to be able to celebrate. On December 30th, I think that's Monday, we have a meeting with another major player, and we continue to make those contacts. However, whatever we come up with and give me a little flexibility, but it'll be sometime in January. We kind of want to say January 1st, but we're having a meeting on the December 30th, and it may not work out that we know the answer. But in January at some point, we will go public with this campaign. We're not, if we don't have the major players behind us, I don't think there's any way in the world that we're going to raise, be it $500, $600, $700, $800,000 at $5 a time. We're going to have somebody step forward who's a major player in the city that really wants this to happen. But we're going to go public, and so that's kind of the timeline. That, in one sense, I want to apologize for keeping it quiet, but the expertise we bring to this, and every single advisor that we've talked to who runs capital campaigns says, boy, everybody wants to get out there and have it public and go with it. You've got to have the major players in place. And what we're saying to you tonight is that we will have the major players in place that we're going to have sometime right after the end of the year here. And I can't promise you one side, one way or the other, as far as how high it can be, but then we will go public. And
say, Rick, as long as you're up there, do you have a copy of the 6 bullet points from the presentation that you made to Rotary?
I do not have a copy of it.
Would you like to use mine? Would you
Okay.
would you like to read these for everybody? And well, Rick is taking those. He made a very good presentation about a month ago at Rotary, and addressed many of the mayor's concerns and also the things that Rick has commented on. So if you could please read those 6 bullet points at the bottom. And maybe even you want to give out the name of what the capital campaign will be called, because I thought it was quite a good name.
Right. To go right to the name, it's Bridge the Gap. And it covers a lot of things, not just the dollar amounts, but what you might consider the gap between Duluth and Superior, all sorts of things. The bullet points Warren is referring to is we hope to bring to the community an adoption center that will instill pride and responsible pet care for the entire community. We're looking forward to merging with Humane Society of Douglas County. Originally that was supposed to happen a long time ago, but because of ownership of the building, Humane Society has hung in there and run a wonderful, as good as they can with the facility they have, and a great program. We did merge with, as you probably all know, Animal Rescue Federation back in January of 2012. What we're looking to do, what we're looking to help you do, is to replace an inadequate and inappropriate pound with a new adoption center that will incorporate the best ideas and the most up-to-date features. We used to call it state-of-the-art, but that met with some resistance. And we're saying we would like to have you and us together build a facility that will do as much as it can possibly do with the funds available. Animal Allies has already fulfilled a number of commitments to your city when we are running your facility, in that we have furthered our campaign for zero, which is zero euthanasia of healthy pets. And to this day now, since we've taken over the existing facility, we can say that we have done zero euthanasia of any healthy pets. We have brought, and we will continue to bring, humane education programs to your city and your children, youth camps, and we've already touched literally thousands of youth in your community, in that if we can teach them how to take care of animals, they're the future. The last bullet point is the 100% of the adoptable animals are spay or neutered prior to adoption, so that we prevent pet overpopulation in your community in the future.
Thanks, Rick.
Any questions of If not,
Actually, I do have one. I know you and I spoke on the phone recently about a less expensive alternative as far as the build-out on this. And this was my idea that I heard. I heard an ad on the radio, and they were talking about, you could build this for this much money, you can build this for this much money. And that would be a pole building or a pre-stressed insulated concrete panel, similar to what they're building the Super One. Now, do you know of any shelters that have been built using this type of construction?
I do know of shelters that have been built and recently using every form of construction. There's no perfect method. What we're looking at and hope that you would look at is that the interior of the facility does the job that you need it to do, whether it's red or green or blue on the outside, it doesn't matter. If it's made of brick or wood, probably doesn't matter. It's what happens on the inside that matters. It would be wonderful to have a, they call it curb appeal. That is important to shelters, but we have to build what we can afford to build. Animal Allies we don't care, we're not concerned. We want it to be affordable for you, that you have to build what you can afford to build. And what we would hope that you would build it so that it treats the animals in the manner that we'd like them to be treated, and I know that you'd like them to be treated. And there's just certain concepts in that kind of a building that I didn't realize it 15 years ago, 10 years ago, but there's air handling, there's heating, there's cleaning needs that surpass what buildings in the past have needed, that we think they needed. And nowadays they've discovered what's best for the animals, and we'd hope that you would want to bring that to your community too.
And say, Rick, are you familiar with this concept of it? And, to the naked eye, this looks a lot like a pole building.
I'm no expert in construction, and
neither am I.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
Any further discussion? That completes the,
Mayor?
I'm sorry.
It's me.
Oh, Counselor?
Hi. We all love the idea of the animal shelter. My only concern is the shortfall of the monies. And with that being said, I'd like to put a motion out there that we suspend the Animal Arts design contract until we know what size building we will be building and how much money we will be having to work with.
That's the next agenda item.
Yeah, well, okay, thank you.
Counselor Dahlbeck.
I would just like to say I'm all for the shelter, no matter how we do it, how we get it. But let's get it done. Let's do something. Let's not put it off for another 6 years. Thank you.
Counselor Sweeney.
I'm relatively new on the council, so I'm coming lately into this discussion, although it's been going on for years. But it seems I can't get my handle around this. It's so convoluted. I really can't. I don't know why we've decided on the square footage. I've seen no figures for dogs and animals that would dictate that this is the size we have. I don't know. I just heard this gentleman say we have a no-kill policy for healthy animals, I think he said. So I don't know how many animals are out there that we would take off the street, so to speak, we would have. I don't know what long-term trims are for dogs and cats. I don't know where we are on that. I've seen no figures for that. I don't know if we're going to adopt, where adopted animals come from. Do they come from our city? Do we import them into us, or I don't know how that works. I've never seen any of these things, and I've asked about that. So we may have been at this for 6 years, but I've not seen anybody that can give me any facts and figures about these. And it would seem to me, but I'm a numbers guy, that we must have some numbers on where we're going. What are the long-term trends? Are there more animals out on the streets, so to speak, or are there less animals? And I don't know that. The only thing I do know, someone told me that adopted dogs and cats, people want, for the most part, they want puppies and kittens. They don't want older animals. So I don't know if that's true or not, but I just don't think we've got enough, at least I don't have enough. Maybe somebody's got them all, okay? Maybe somebody's got them all put together somewhere, but this, I don't think we're ready to make a decision on size yet, the way I look at it. Now, maybe somebody's got those figures, so I'd be happy to see them if they had them.
Councilor McKenzie.
Yeah, Jack, like you said, you're new and you haven't been here. But if you would have been here before, there's hundreds. We've had hundreds of meetings, thousands of hours. I've spent it in most of them. All you have to do is call me, and I'll give you some of that information. I can't give you all those technical details and facts, but Rick Salestead has been in many of these meetings, and he can give you those stats. So all you have to do is call him too. But you can call me anytime that you want. The O'Neills are out in the audience. They work at the shelter here in Superior. Stop over there. Take a look at it. Stop up to the shelter up in Duluth, and they'll give you a tour. They'll tell you all the things that you need to know about what's going on. You can also call the Humane Society of the United States, and that's where this whole thing all started. And they gave us a lot of these facts as to what we need to do, that we need to join forces with Douglas County, with the city, and we needed somebody to run it. We have Animal Allies. So there's a lot of people that all you have to do is ask, and right now I think Rick has some of that information for you if you'd like to ask him.
Further discussion? Are we on 9.1 or 9.2? No action. If there's no further discussion, we'll move on to 9.2.
Item 9.2, Council President Bender and Vice President McDonald are requesting suspension of the Animal Arts, Inc. design contract for the animal shelter.
Councilor McDonald.
I would just like to say we should suspend it until we know exactly what we are building. I can't see spending that kind of money, taking the taxpayers' money without knowing what we're doing going forward, what we're building or how we're going to build it, how we're going to sustain it. I love animals like everybody else, but I have to look at all the reasons, just like Jack said.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion and second on the floor. Councilor McKenzie, discussion?
Again, spending all the taxpayers' money. First, we have to find out how much that is. We don't know that yet. We have to take bids. If we're going to suspend anything with Animal Arts, and again, I caution that we spend a lot of money here, although, again, it's probably a building that's going to cost a lot of money. But I think the discussion should also be, and Dan Olson, I think, could answer some of these questions about panelized concrete buildings, how efficient that they are, Butler buildings. We talked about all those things, Jeff, in committees. We had people here, again, the hundreds of committee meetings, the thousands of hours, talking about that. But none of that's discussion ever, or any of that stuff materialized. And so that's why I had asked, why don't we look at all those options? But I think we ended up going with this stick building, and then we've got this thing here that we don't have any bids on. So how much are taxpayers' money? I don't know until we take bids. But all I know that we bonded 2-point-something million. We're down to 2.3 million. But we also have support of the county. Hopefully, this capital campaign is going to take. Douglas County Humane Society has, I think, over $200,000 that's going to go towards this thing. So we have to get all of our ducks in a row before we say how much money that we're spending. So if we can figure out what we want to do, what direction we want to do, that's key.
Councilor McDonald.
Well, first of all, if we do go ahead with this design contract that we're saying we're going to build this building, that is going to cost us $126,000, give or take. That's taxpayers' money without knowing what we're going to build. We've already designed one that we paid over $70-some thousand for. I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying we need to suspend until we know what we're doing instead of spending $126,000 more and maybe not use the design.
Councilor Bender.
Well, my idea of a pole building or pre-stressed concrete building, or any of those, was to lower the build-out cost of it. And I believe as a council we've already approved the concept of the 8,600 square feet. So, that's a done deal as far as that goes. I know someone asked me today, what they thought the longevity of it was. And if I recall correctly from the information that I've received, and I just Googled pole buildings, and found the name Hanson Pole Buildings, and it's not an ad for them or anything like that, but happens to be my wife's maiden name, and so I chose them. And what a surprise! I just told them make it this dimension, so it comes out 8,600 square feet, and they asked what is the express purpose of this, and from their drop-down menu I put animal confinement, because that is what the express purpose of it would be, and it came back at, and of course this is just a rough figure, it came back at $70,000. And that would be just for the exterior, no insulation, no finishing of the interior as far as that would go. And the longevity, like I said, was 40. And somebody pointed out to me today, take a look at Superior Lidgerwood Monday, the old Quonset huts that are down there. Those are a lot older than 40 years. And sometimes people think, oh, pole buildings, they don't look very nice and that. But like I say, the concept that I found on the internet, and I have here with a few other pictures as far as what pole or pole-type buildings can look like, would be a way to move this process along. Find a less expensive exterior, spend all the money, as Rick has pointed out, that needs to be spent on the interior, and make sure that is correct. And I know in speaking to friends who are in construction, and not Dan Olson, but friends who do this for a living and build animal shelters for a building, they said that 8,600 square feet should come in at one. Their figuring was, and this was as of a few months ago, was 1.8 million. But that's a regular stick built, and not a pole building. And I do have the experience of seeing a pole building go up, because my father-in-law had a pole building, a pole garage, 24 by 24, with just one overhead door, and that was built in 4 hours. But of course there was no insulation or anything like that. But the reason that I brought this up was I would like to see the process move forward. And one way of moving forward is maybe looking at a different type of exterior, one that will cost less.
Any further discussion? Counselor?
Yeah, and I agree with what Warren's saying, and I just want to make sure that if we do suspend talks with Animal Arts, we go in a different direction. I just want to make sure that that's what we're going to do, is go forward, that we do get something for all these people, and the hundreds more, and all the people I've told you that support this thing. It says coming soon. So let's not lie to them. Let's do this. Let's do it somehow. Whatever we have to do, affordable. I'm all for that. The more bang for the buck, the better. But I just want to make sure that if we do something, that we head forward and we actually do something, excuse the pun, constructive, and do this. This community deserves this. These animals deserve this. That's all I can say. I think we've committed to this, and we need to go forward. Thanks.
Counselor Sweeney, or Counselor Fennessy, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just want to make a couple of comments. I can't agree more with what was said about making sure that the interior works for what they need. Having this located out in my district at Bear Creek Park, at the city entrance, I just want to make sure that the exterior is also designed in a way that it looks aesthetically pleasing. So I think we need to keep that in mind also as we move forward. I'm getting a little concerned here. We're talking about suspending this and talking about different things, but how are we going to move forward? I mean, I didn't know if anybody, Counselor, did you have, I didn't know if you had an idea of how we wanted to move forward in order to keep this thing going. I agree, we can't let this stall. We got to keep moving.
Counselor Bender?
Yes, well, actually, I did have a couple ideas, and the ideas, I've already discussed these with Rick Salestead. I've discussed this with Councilor McKenzie, and that is we keep the interior design of this. And I know you have a copy of the interior design right here, and I couldn't figure out how to get the interior design on the PowerPoint presentation that I made, but keep the interior design. change the exterior so that we're using pole building, pre-stressed insulated concrete panels, whatever, and so that the outside will still look aesthetically pleasing, as Tom had mentioned. And this is requesting a suspension, and not throwing out the contract, but a suspension of the contract until we're sure. And at the same time that we contact Animal Arts, we could say, what about the possibility of doing one of these two ideas, pole building or preformed panels, as far as the exterior of it, and see what they would have to say. And of course, we don't want to do anything that wouldn't be copacetic as far as using their plans without their permission. But I think this is something, if it can bring the project in for under the original amount of money, and it can bring it in earlier, because pole building and modular construction go a lot faster than stick built, of course, too. So that was my idea. So as far as moving this forward, I just following up or adding to or clarifying the motion that Councillor McDonald had made and Councillor Sweeney had seconded, and that was suspension of the Animal Arts design contract, but going back to them and say something to the effect that we're looking at finding a less expensive exterior for this, but using the basic plans that they have drawn up. And I know the mayor and I discussed this on the phone, and the possibility, we have the basics, can we get an architect to come up with the blueprints for a building? And get to the point very soon, because as Councilor McKenzie mentioned, it does say coming soon, and I've driven by there many, many times, and I don't see the word soon in quotes. So soon meaning getting to the point in early 2014 that the RFPs can be put out, we can get the bids in, and we can start the construction process. But that's what I would suggest.
Councillor Fennessy.
I guess I'm still a little confused. Well, first of all, this council shouldn't be talking about the design of this. That's we're getting carried away on this. I think I guess I'm still confused about, are we going to assemble a task force? Are we going to refer it to Public Works? Are we going to, I guess I'm still confused on where this is going to go. I'm afraid we're going to leave the meeting and everything's just going to kind of sit here.
If I may, this has been a discussion for a long time, and I know there's levels of frustration, including me. And I would highly appreciate, as with the administration, to not leave us in a vacuum. If there's a motion to do anything, let's make it clear, so if the administration has marching orders to provide something, we need that directly, and we need it in proper format of what we're to do, because I want to say that there's been occasion where the administration, and I'm not saying me, but maybe me too, have been criticized for not doing what should be done or what is perceived to need to be done without clear direction in the first place. And I totally agree with you, Councillor. Councillor Herrick?
Yeah, I was just going to mention, we know the size. I don't know what's holding us back from going to various builders and giving us estimates on this size building.
What you have is a schematic. You do not have working architecture.
Right, but we do have a size building. I mean that's a start. I mean, I think we can go out there and see what they can do.
Right. Let me just back up part of the information that's very old. And Mr. Salistid and Getzman and Janigo, I forget who else might be have been involved in this conversation or conversations with Animal Arts and professional engineers locally, contractors locally, and with regard to what this is going to cost. And they've all agreed, these are professional people in the public and private sector have all agreed that, correct me if I'm wrong, it's $3.1 or $2 million. Am I correct on that? So for us to be assuming what it might cost, I think is way out of line, it's just inappropriate. Which begs the question, where's the money? I mean, everybody wants it, but who's going to pay for it? And we need to find out if, through the capital campaign, if that money's available. The city is committed 2.2, whatever it may be. I'm getting the sense from some of this discussion that we should participate more. We don't have that. I just don't see that. I know that when push comes to shove, we're going to be bombarded by, well, you got to buy it, you got to build it, you got to build it, because it's your responsibility. We committed a certain amount of money through bonding, issuing debt, and I personally will oppose the city popping in for another $1 million. This discussion has to come to fruition and conclusion, because I think tensions are just rising among everybody here. We need to know what we're going to do, and can we afford to do it? Counselor?
I think I need a motion for me to speak a third time.
I'm sorry.
I think I need a motion for me to be able to speak a third time. Yeah, thank you, Mayor, but I don't think, I'm not suggesting that the city does more money. The $2.3 million is fine. We've got the county on board, whatever we want to use that money for. I think Councilor Bender, what he's getting at, and I thank him for that, we need to look for other alternatives to build a less expensive building, but a nice building. Like Tom says, we shouldn't be talking about design, this and that, but he also wants it to look nice on the outside. And so I think that's what Warren is getting at. If we have a plan that's going to be $3.1 million, then of course that it's too much, of course, depending on the capital campaign. But I'm not suggesting that the city kick in any more money. We're just looking for ways to make this thing happen. Maybe a lesser amount with a lesser style building, whether it's panelized or Butler building or pole building, whatever it might be.
Thank you. Councilor Sweeney?
Talking about this, can we put a time frame on the organization that's going to raise money? And let's say by whatever date it is, what they need, and be reasonable with them, but we have to have a time frame. We have to say, if we're not going to do this by X, then we have to stop. If we're going to commit 2.1 and they're going to commit whatever they are, and if it doesn't come through, we have to have an end game here, and from a time frame. So I'm suggesting that whatever's fair to them, to try and raise the money. They said they need some major contributors, and I suspect they're absolutely accurate, but we have to have an end game here too. We just can't go on a year from today and be talking about the same thing.
Councilor Finsland?
I believe the question before us is whether we should suspend the Animal Arts design contract or not. The discussion has gone far afield from that, and I think we should vote on the motion that's before us rather than be discussing design plans for this at this moment. I'm sure we should be in discussion about design plans at some opportunity, but this is not the motion before us.
Okay. With that, I'll call the question.
The motion and a second before you is to approve the request to suspend the contract with Animal Arts, Inc.
Can we do a random roll call, please?
Councilor Bender.
Aye.
Councilor Sweeney.
Yes.
Councilor McDonald.
Yes.
Councilor Mazzolia.
Yes.
Councilor Finsland.
Yes.
Councilor Herrick.
Sorry for the hesitation there. I'm just seeing where it's just going to go, either which way I vote, so. Well, I'll vote yes for now.
Councilor
No.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Councilor McKenzie.
No.
Councilor Dahlbeck.
No.
Councilor Fennessy.
No.
Motion carried.
6-3.
Mayor, I've got a question. I don't know if it's proper to ask this now, but I would like the city attorney to kind of tell us what this actually means if we suspend the contract.
Well, there's really no provision in the contract that we have with Animal Arts that contemplates a suspension, but as you know, we wrote a letter to them indicating that this matter would likely be would definitely be before the body tonight, and asked them, in essence, not to keep the meter running in the meantime. I know our finance department has been in direct contact with their lead contact, Heather, as recently as a few days ago. So we will contact them first thing tomorrow and acquaint them with what occurred tonight. And obviously, you don't need to be reading between too many lines to ascertain that you folks are interested in taking another run at perhaps another design construct or another prototype, whatever you want to call it. And so I'm guessing that we will be engaging with Animal Arts and asking them if they're designed to or programmed for switching gears, if called upon to do so in the near future, and modifying their design and layout to contemplate a structure that is a pole barn or the concrete panel construct that I've heard come up from time to time. I mean, we can have that dialogue with them and just make sure we're in position to re-engage with them, and we'll see what they say.
Thank you.
Sure.
Item 11.1 is an ordinance introduced by the Human Resources Committee repealing and recreating Chapter 42, Article 3, Disciplinary Procedures.
Second.
Motion and second, discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Any further business to come before this body? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
For the motion and second, we stand adjourned.